My father opened the farmhouse door on Christmas Eve and pointed into the snow like my little girl was a stray dog. "Take her and get out," he said, his voice thick with whiskey and pride. My 9-year-old daughter, Elsie, stood beside me in her red coat with one mitten missing and a paper angel in her hand, the one she'd made for him at school. My sister Sloane sat at the dining table and didn't even turn her head. "Good," she said, cutting into her pie like this was normal. "Maybe now we can have a real family Christmas." My mother, Della, folded her napkin and said the sentence I still hear when the winter gets quiet. "We have carried your shame long enough, Maren." I looked at my daughter's face. I saw her trying not to cry. I saw a child learning that grown people could smile beside candles and still be cruel. So I did not scream. I did not beg. I only took Elsie's hand and said, "Then you won't mind losing the thing my shame has been paying for." 5 minutes later, my father was standing in that same doorway, begging me not to let the farm die. My name is Maren Whitlock, and I had spent most of my life being the quiet daughter no one bragged about. My older sister, Sloane, was the pretty one, the married one, the one with a big house, a husband named Pierce, and 2 sons my parents showed off at church, like trophies. I was the daughter who got pregnant young, married wrong, got left early, and raised a little girl alone while building a small bookkeeping office above a hardware store. I wasn't rich, but my bills were paid. My daughter had warm boots, school lunches, library books, and a mother who never made her feel like a mistake. But to my parents, I was still the stain on the family picture. Every Christmas, I told myself I would not go back to Whitlock Pines, the tree farm my grandfather Theo had planted with his own hands. Every Christmas, Elsie asked if we could see the lights on the barn and cut one small tree near the creek. And every Christmas, I swallowed my pride and drove through the dark because children should not have to lose magic just because adults are bitter. That year, I almost stayed home. Sloane had texted 3 days before Christmas. "Please make sure Elsie doesn't act needy this time. Dad gets stressed." Elsie had done nothing the year before except ask why her cousins got scooters and she got socks. My mother had called later and asked if I was still coming alone, the way she always did, as if being alone was something I kept doing to embarrass her on purpose. I had my answer ready. I was going to say no. Then I looked at the brown folder on my kitchen table. Inside were the renewal papers for the farm's operating credit line. The loan was due before the new year. Without my signature, there would be no spring planting, no payroll, no fertilizer, no repairs, no farm. My family did not know that, or most of them didn't. And my father knew because 2 years earlier, when his credit collapsed and the bank refused him, he had come to me with shaking hands and a broken voice. "Maren," he had said then, "I can't lose your granddad's land." So I co-signed. I put my savings, my credit, and my daughter's safety behind a 6-figure loan because I still loved the farm and because some foolish part of me thought saving my father might finally make him see me. He had promised he would never forget. Then he forgot by choice. For 2 years, I signed quietly. For 2 years, I fixed the books, covered short gaps from my own account, and let him tell everyone he had turned the business around. I never told Sloane. I never told my mother. I let my father keep his pride because I confused silence with love. If you have ever carried a family that still called you weak, then you already understand the kind of tired I brought into that farmhouse. I walked in that night with a casserole in one hand, Elsie's gift in the other, and the folder hidden inside my bag. The farm looked beautiful from outside. White lights ran along the fences. Snow sat soft on the pine branches. The old barn glowed gold. Elsie whispered, "Mom, it looks like a Christmas movie." I smiled for her, but inside my chest something had already gone cold. Dinner started politely, which in my family only meant the cruelty was waiting for dessert. My father, Harlan Whitlock, had already been drinking. Sloane wore a cream sweater and that soft little smile she used when she was about to cut someone. Pierce barely looked up from his plate. My mother kept praising Sloane's boys for every small thing they did, while Elsie sat quietly beside me, trying to be perfect enough to earn warmth. Then Sloane said, "So, Maren, still doing bills for farmers? I guess it's good someone trusts you with numbers, even if your personal life never balanced." My father laughed too loudly. My mother said nothing. I put my hand on Elsie's knee under the table. That was our secret signal. It meant, "Breathe, baby. We are okay." But we were not okay. I could feel the night leaning like a heavy tree in wind. Between dinner and pie, I leaned toward my father and said softly, "Dad, before I leave, we need to sign the bank renewal. It's in my bag." I meant to protect him. I meant to do it privately in his office. But Sloane heard the word bank. Her eyes sharpened. "What renewal?" she asked. My father's face darkened because whiskey hates being reminded of debt. "Your sister thinks she runs this farm because she owns a calculator," he snapped. I stayed quiet. He kept going. "Always papers. Always advice. Maybe if you knew this much about life, you wouldn't be raising a child by yourself." Elsie froze beside me. That was the first crack. Then Sloane leaned back and said, "Honestly, Dad, this is why Pierce and I have been talking about the future. The farm should go to a stable family someday, people who can protect the Whitlock name." She looked at Elsie's paper angel and added, "Not everyone should inherit roots just because they were born near the tree." That was when I knew they had already planned it. Sloane wanted the farm. Pierce wanted the land value. My mother wanted the family picture to look clean. My father wanted applause from the people who had refused to save him because he had gone to Sloane first 2 years earlier. I knew that part. He had asked Pierce to co-sign before he ever called me. Pierce had said no. Sloane had said, "We have our boys to think about." But now they were sitting at the table discussing the future of a farm that only existed because the shameful daughter had risked everything. I looked at Elsie. Her chin was trembling. She whispered, "Mommy, why does Aunt Sloane talk like I don't belong here?" If this story reaches any mother or father who has ever stayed silent to keep peace, listen to me here. Peace is not peace when your child is paying the price for it. I said, maybe we should not discuss inheritance in front of children." It was calm. It was reasonable. It was my last offer. My father shoved his chair back. "You don't get to correct this table," he said. "You don't get a vote in this family, Maren. You never did." Then he pointed at Elsie, my sweet girl, and said, "Look at her, always scared, always needy. That's what happens when a child is raised by a woman no decent man wanted to keep." The room went silent. Elsie's paper angel bent in her fist. Something inside me did not break loudly. It broke cleanly. I stood, took the napkin from my daughter's lap, wiped the corner of her eye, and said, "We're leaving." My father followed us to the hall while I zipped Elsie's coat. He threw the front door open so hard the wreath hit the wall. Snow blew across the floor. "Get out," he said. Sloane called from the table, "Don't come crawling back." My mother said, "We are better off without you." And I realized they had finally given me the one gift I needed. Clarity. I turned in the doorway with the snow behind me and my daughter's cold hand in mine. My voice was so quiet that everyone had to stop breathing to hear it. "I won't argue with you. You made yourselves clear. But if you are better off without me, then you won't need my signature." My father's face changed first. Not fully. Just a flicker around the eyes. I reached into my bag and pulled out the brown folder. Pierce stood so fast his chair scraped the floor. He knew enough to be afraid. I looked at him and said, "Pierce, would you like to explain why you look sick, or should I?" He said nothing. So I opened the folder. These are the renewal documents for the farm's operating loan. The bank stopped trusting Dad 2 years ago. His credit did not qualify. The farm was one missed season away from foreclosure. Someone had to guarantee the debt personally. Someone had to put her name, her savings, and her child's future on the line. That person was me. My mother's mouth opened. Sloane went pale. My father whispered, "Maren." I held up the unsigned page. "This renewal is due before New Year's. I haven't signed it." Nobody moved. Even the old clock in the hall seemed too loud. Then Pierce said, almost to himself, "Without her, they call the loan." My mother turned on him. "What does that mean?" I answered, because I wanted every word to land. "It means the bank demands the balance. It means the farm cannot pay. It means the land gets sold, the house gets tied up, and those pretty rows of trees become somebody else's development project by spring." Sloane's hand flew to her necklace. Her future inheritance had just turned into smoke. My father tried anger first because men like him always reach for anger before shame. "You would destroy your granddad's farm to punish us?" he said. I looked at the open door, the snow on my daughter's boots, and the bent paper angel in her fist. "No, Dad, you threw us out. I'm only taking my name with me." That was when his pride collapsed. His shoulders dropped, his voice cracked. "Please," he said. One word. The same word he had used 2 years earlier at my kitchen table. Then louder. "Please, Maren, don't do this. We'll lose everything." My father, who had called my daughter needy, stood in front of his favorite child and begged the daughter he had mocked to save him again. And the strange thing is, I did not feel happy. Revenge does not always feel like fire. Sometimes it feels like finally putting down a weight and realizing your hands are shaking. I reached into my bag again and pulled out a second paper, one Sloane had never seen. It was a copy of my grandfather Theo's letter. His lawyer had given it to me after the funeral. My grandfather had written, "This land will not survive in the hands of the loudest Whitlock. It will survive with the one who loves it enough to do the hard thing. Maren, when that day comes, protect the trees, but do not disappear for them." I read it out loud. My father started crying before I finished. Then I told them the terms. "I will not let Granddad's farm die," I said. "But I am done being your secret safety net. If I sign, my name goes on the deed. The farm becomes a legal partnership. I get access to every account, every invoice, every loan document. No more hidden debt. No more pretending Dad saved what I carried." Sloane snapped, "You can't steal our family farm." I looked at her for a long moment. "You mean the farm your husband refused to risk his credit for?" Pierce lowered his head. Sloane had no answer. I continued, "And there is one more condition. Elsie will never be called shame, mistake, burden, needy, or anything close to it again. The first time any of you make my daughter feel unwanted, I walk. And this time, I will not bring a folder back." My mother started saying, "Maren, honey," but I stopped her. "Do not call me honey because you need something. You had all night to remember I was your daughter." I took Elsie home that night. In the car, she was quiet for a long time, watching the white fields slide past the window. Then she asked, "Did Grandpa hate me?" I pulled over because I could not answer that while driving. I turned around and took her hand. "No, baby, Grandpa hates his own shame, and sometimes people throw their shame at the nearest soft heart, but you do not have to catch it." She nodded like she was trying to understand something too heavy for 9 years old. Then she said, "You sounded brave." I smiled even though my throat hurt. "I was scared," I told her. "But when someone tries to hurt your child, fear has to stand behind love." She held the bent paper angel all the way home. We put it on our small apartment tree that night. It looked crooked and perfect. The lawyers took 6 weeks. I signed the renewal only after the deed changed, the books opened, and the farm account required 2 signatures for large payments. My father had to sit across from me in a conference room and make me co-owner of the land he had planned to leave to Sloane. Sloane barely speaks to me now, which has made my life surprisingly peaceful. Pierce apologized once in the parking lot and admitted he had known more than he said. My mother sends Elsie birthday cards with cash inside and careful words written in shaky handwriting. My father is not soft now, but he is careful. There is a difference. And at my age, I no longer pretend it is the same as love. But he has never insulted Elsie again. Not once. They all know exactly what my quiet was worth. Every December now, Elsie and I drive to Whitlock Pines before the crowds arrive. She chooses the tree herself. My father watches from the barn sometimes, silent, older, smaller than he used to look. I do not hate him. Hate is heavy, and I carried enough heavy things for that family. But I do not hand him my peace anymore. I do not pay for a seat at a table where my child has to shrink to fit. The farm still stands. The lights still shine. The trees still smell like snow and pine in my grandfather's hands. But now when people ask who saved the place, nobody looks at my father first. They look at me. And I think Granddad Theo would have liked that. So if your family calls you the embarrassment, look carefully at who they call when the roof starts leaking. If they mock your struggle but spend your strength, if they shame your child but need your signature, if they make you stand outside in the cold and then beg you to keep their house warm, remember this. Silence is not loyalty when it teaches people they can hurt you for free. Protect your children, protect your name, protect the work you did when nobody clapped for you. And when the day comes to choose between their pride and your peace, choose the hand holding yours in the snow. Commentary, discussion, explanation, and lessons. Now, let's step away from the drama for a moment and look at what this story is really saying. This was not just a Christmas family fight. This was a story about a woman who spent years holding up a family that still treated her like she did not matter. Maren was not loud. She was not looking for revenge at first. She was trying to protect peace, protect the farm, protect her father's pride, and most of all, protect her daughter's childhood. But the problem was this: her silence allowed the family to become crueler. They thought her calmness meant weakness. They thought because she kept helping, they could keep insulting her. And the hardest part is that they did not stop with Maren. They turned their cruelty toward Elsie, an innocent child. That moment changed everything. Maren could accept pain for herself, but she refused to let her daughter grow up believing she was a shame or a burden. The most powerful part of this story is not the lone papers. It is not even the farm. The real power is the truth. Maren had been the person keeping everything alive, but nobody respected her because they did not know the cost of her sacrifice. When she finally revealed the truth, the whole room changed. The same people who told her to leave suddenly begged her to stay. That shows us something important. Some people do not value love, kindness, or loyalty until they realize those things come with a price. This story also shows a very real family problem. Sometimes families protect appearances more than people. They praise the child who looks successful and shame the child who struggles quietly. But real strength is not always the loudest person at the table. Sometimes it is the single mother paying bills, signing papers, raising a kind child, and still showing up when nobody thanks her. The lesson is simple but deep. Do not destroy yourself to earn love from people who only respect what they can take from you. Helping family is good, but losing your dignity is not. Forgiveness is beautiful, but boundaries are necessary. And when someone hurts your child to feel powerful, that is the moment peace must end. Maren did not become cruel. She became clear. She saved the farm, but she stopped saving their pride for free. And that is the real revenge. Not screaming, not begging, not breaking, but standing calmly with proof, truth, and self-respect.